and welcome to Middle Age Geeks. I'm one of your hosts, Daz, and I'm joined by my trusty co-host, Phil. How are you doing, Philly?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Yeah, thanks for asking. It's having a good day of watching some good stuff on telly, which we'll talk about when we get into that section. But I officially started my holidays, so I decided I was going to do fuck all today.
Nice.
So I did a bit of cleaning, brought the dog for a stroll, and then basically just arsed around watching telly and stuff. Yeah, it's been great. What about yourself?
Good, yeah. Just back from the cinema about 20 minutes ago, and I was very excited going in, and I'm less so now. So this might be a struggle to get through.
Well, at least you don't have to talk through it, eh? Like,
yeah. Good luck with that one.
Yeah, my notes were all like one word fucking notes. Like, oh, fuck this shit.
Boring. For anyone new to the show, the format, we'll talk about a few bits of news that tickle our fancy during the week. Then we'll chat about what we have watched and played. And then Phil has the arduous task of taking us through Hellboy, the Crooked Man, one of the most boring movies of the year. So, first and foremost, let's get into some news. What was catching your eye this week?
I think just a few trailers, I suppose. And the one that jumped out to me was that we actually got to see the proper Thunderbolts trailer, which was good because the one we got originally was kind of a leaked one, so it didn't look as great. This is cool. Yeah. I think the trailer actually looks pretty cool. I'm looking forward to it. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing the Sentry. I think I said it to you about the poster. Did you see this? They're doing the rounds about the poster, and they're saying it's created by AI because the Sentry has 6 fingers on one of his hands.
Someone's got to proof that stuff.
Yeah, especially when he's like it's the front. He's I don't know. Fucking forget it. And then I was gonna mention we talked about Transformers 1 doing quite well, and I was gonna say about the Transformers store. They're opening a Transformers store in the UK. It's gonna be the first one. I assume if it'll do well, they'll do it in America and stuff as well. But I think it's in London, and they're gonna have like installations and art pieces that are based around it. You'll be able to buy those RoboSen, the versions of Optimus Prime and Grimlock, and
cool.
thing that are like they cost like $1,000 each because they fucking transform and move around by themselves. Like it's it should be cool, man. That's like
that sounds
if
class.
Exactly. If it's a big ass thing and they have events there and all the rest of it, like,
we're
it's
going
worth
100%.
Yeah, it could be just worth going for a visit, man. Like the whole idea of it's fucking class, man. I'm definitely going over and check that out if it happens.
Absolutely.
And I think the only other thing, and this is one you were going to bring up as well, Daz, is the Ballerina trailer.
Looks fantastic.
Excellent. Oh man, and I didn't know that what's his face, Lance Reddick, was going to be in it. Man, I was fucking choked up. I saw him in the trailer. I was like, holy shit! Like,
I was wondering at that. I was just like, was it filmed back before he passed away, or I was just looking at it going, have they done some trickery here where it's a scene where he's...
I don't know, because the voice is pretty much spot on. Like, I don't know if they've done like a...
Or they've spliced
Peter O'Toole
a scene,
kind of thing. Yeah.
Or just taken a scene from one of the John Wick ones and just, superimposed herself over. But
I'm not sure, but it looks class. We get to see John Wick in the trailer, which is deadly, and plus, like, it's Anna de Armas. Like, I would watch her in a fucking 2-hour documentary with the life of fucking James Corden. You know what I mean? If she was in it, like, it's just she's fucking class.
6-part miniseries.
But yeah, that's all on the news on my end. What about yourself?
I guess on the gaming front, the PlayStation State of Play.
Was
out, and there was there's a few bits and pieces, but then they finished with the Ghost of Yotai. Is it Yotai?
Yotai or Yotai?
Sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. And that just looks amazing. Just looks absolutely amazing. It's only a little teaser, but it has fantastic art direction and showing a bit of combat, and it's set like 300 years after the first game. But it's just, even they showed the box art at the end, and it's the samurai. It's female protagonist this time, and she's kind of kneeling down, and it's the yellow accent color.
Yeah,
that's kind of running through the design. I fucking love it straight away. And it's supposedly out for 2025, which is Surprising, but that'll obviously get bumped to 2026.
Yeah.
But yeah, that looked fantastic. And the new Last of Us 2 trailer
Oh, stop.
debuted, which was fucking excellent.
Oh, but
Watched it a few
like,
times.
yeah,
Oh,
I don't want to spoil that for anybody who hasn't played the games, but like, I'm like, this looks so similar. Like, it's so
hmm
many things. I'm like, oh god, like it's gonna.
yeah,
What are they gonna do? Are they gonna make that big thing, or are they gonna do something else? But there's no
yeah.
reason for that to have the scenes that we see
Mm.
in that in the trailer if they happen because of what does happen. You know what I mean
Yeah,
in the game, and so I don't
like
see any other way
it's kind of
around
a
it.
like for like in terms of the
Yeah,
imagery in the town and the new characters. And like Neil Druckmann said, he said there will be some story changes, like the first season in terms of, I guess it's just expanding on story elements, like episode
yeah,
3 of the first season, which was a showstopper. But like you said, there will be elements of the story changed for season 2. But yeah, I don't imagine they're going to change any of the major story beats that we're talking about.
yeah.
They may maybe prolong them a little bit, but it's very interesting. And it's, yeah, showed Ali and she was just like, fucking hell, that looks amazing. She's just like, it looks like, yeah, it's intense. Bad shit's going to happen. It's like, yeah, bad shit's going to happen.
How
What's,
good did that thing look? The one in the trailer, the one because it's not a spoiler. You can see it in the trailer. Of Ellie and Dina sitting down in the record shop. You know, when you go in and you pick up
oh,
the
yeah,
guitar.
yeah, yeah.
That's it looks fucking it looks fantastic. It just really captures it. It was great.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah, so
love it.
I can't wait for that. Is that January, February?
I think it's, yeah, January. It's like we'll have Severance and Last of Us within like kind of a few
Amazing.
weeks, I think. Just happy fucking days. What a way to start the new year. And then one other is kind of, I would say sad news, but it's Transformers 1 again. Like this movie sitting on 89% Rotten Tomatoes, like 98% audience score. Made 44 million opening weekend. That's like 30 million in the US and 14 million worldwide, off a budget of 75-ish, 76 million, which is like a huge, huge shame because it's not going to make that money back, which is like, I know you'll get onto it in in the next section, but
Yeah,
yeah, it's just a shame because I hate when you see that, when you see movies that are taking a gamble, going in a new direction, revitalizing a franchise or something like that, getting great scores across the board from critics and audiences alike, and there's no one goes to fucking see it. Or, well, people go to see it, but just not enough people go to see
but
it.
and has it been released in Asia? Like, has it been released over in China and Japan and stuff? The Transformers movie,
Um,
because you would imagine it would do really well there.
I'm not sure actually. Yeah, it just says, yeah, it says, well, 40 million worldwide, but I know that's kind of staggered because UK and Ireland think it's not until
Yeah,
next month.
but we were
So hopefully
discussing
that'll pick up. Yeah.
because we were discussing the substance just before we kicked
Mm,
off, and like that's only made that hasn't even hasn't even made its money back, hasn't
yeah.
even made half its money back, and it only cost 17.5 million.
Yeah.
But it wasn't released in Asia at all. You know, this
Mm,
certain parts of Russia, I think, but you know that's it's very small release, which is such a bummer for that movie.
yeah.
It's so good, but yeah, for something like this, with a big budget, like you said, 40 something
Mhm.
million, yeah, that doesn't bode well for sequels.
Yeah, I mean, they would have been expecting it in the US alone to kind of probably match the budget opening weekend. Just it's such a, like, you look at the live action fucking Michael Bay shoddy mess of movies, apart from the first one, making like a billion, 1.5 billion, you know,
Yeah.
and then this makes 40 fucking 5 million quid. Anyway, hopefully that picks up with further markets opening. But yeah, let's move on to what we have watched and played this week. What have you been up to?
Yeah, so I've a couple of different things. I know I swore I wouldn't buy a game because I'm trying to save for my my trip in a few days, but I did. I am picking it up tomorrow. I haven't played it yet, but I have a pre-ordered new Zelda game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Echoes of Wisdom. I looked. I was humming and hawing about it, and then I looked at a few reviews. Everything looks class, apart from one of the menus looks a bit laborious to get through, but it's on the Switch, and I said, fuck it, like I'm going to be traveling on the plane, I'm going on my own, flying over and back, so I was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm just using excuses, you know what I mean? And it's I wanted to pick up Sparks of Hope as well, And that's only like I think that's some 25 quid or something it's going for at the moment. So I'm just going to grab that while I'm out in Smith's. So yeah, I haven't really played anything bar a bit of Marvel Snap because that doesn't cost me anything. But on the watching front, yeah, I've watched a couple of cool things. The one was Humane. Do you remember the one we were going to do?
Oh yeah,
Caitlin Cronenberg. Yeah. So I ended up watching that, and like, I don't know, like I found it funny, right? It's not as bad as reviews are saying. I found it funny, but so afterwards I was looking on IMDb and it's only got like a 5.4 out of 10 or something. Like it didn't do well. And it's not listed as a comedy. And I was like, man, I was laughing a good bit through this movie. So I thought it was. I thought it was like dark comedy because there's a lot of funny moments in it. Like, and you know, there's some comic actors in it. Like your man Jay Baruchel is in it, and that dude, his name I can never remember. He's he's in Galaxy Quest. You know, he plays the main fucking what's the name of that race of fucking thing? I've gone completely blank.
Oh yeah. I know,
you know what I'm talking about, though. Yeah.
Shalom. No, I can't remember them.
No, not Tony Shalhoub. No.
Oh no. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about.
Everyone does.
Yeah, and he's in it. So there's a lot of comic beats in it, and like, I actually quite enjoyed it. I was surprised at the low score. I'm not really sure why it scored so low, because it's actually not a bad watch, but maybe had I gone in knowing it wasn't supposed to be funny, then maybe you might have thought differently. And the other thing is I watched the Monsters, you know, the thing about the Menendez brothers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so like I know the story and stuff behind them, but this is a very dramatized kind of, you know, version of it. But like, it's okay. It's not fantastic. It's, you know, they're making a lot of assumptions based on different things, you know, either from them or from, you know, other people who've told stories since, you know, that they're incestuous and all this kind of shit. But forget all that, right? Just their episode 5 of it is absolutely incredible. This is one of the best bits of television episode I've ever seen. Because
nice.
it is, well, this year we'll say, but it's just incredible. It's a complete, the whole episode is one shot. It's one shot, and it's in an interview room, and it's from the lawyer from behind, and him, one of the actors, one of the brothers at the front, and it's essentially a monologue. She asks him a couple of questions, but for the most part, he's doing a 30-minute monologue. And like the only thing that happens is the camera is zooming in so slowly for a half an hour. Eventually it ends up as a close-up of his face. But for the entire half hour, it's time just getting closer and closer. And he's going through a range of emotions. You know, he's fucking crying and he's doing that. And it's just, it's masterful stuff. And like I said, the show is deadly. Like I said, the show is average enough, but I was blown away. Cooper Koch, I think is your man's name, Koch. I'm not sure. I don't know him from anything else, but it's a wonderful episode. Like I definitely recommend checking it out, especially you from like a technical point of view. I'm sure you'd enjoy it, but it's definitely worth checking out. Episode 5 of that.
Could I just watch episode 5, or would I have to watch?
I mean, you could read a bit. You can read a bit. Just read the wiki page about the Menendez brothers, and then just watch episode 5.
To 5.
But no, that's me. What about yourself? Have you been watching much this week?
Not that much, but I finished Star Wars Outlaws, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Clocked in 30 hours playing that, which was 15 of that was probably the main story. Just really enjoyable. The last hour of gameplay is fucking great when you're doing the whole heist and with your merry bunch of crazy assailants. And yeah, it's just, I just really, really enjoyed that game. That I said before, like just the sense of place is fantastic in it when you're doing these little heists and the kind of galactic war is happening off screen around you. And there's all mention of the rebels and you meet some rebels at time, but the main character Kay is just like, no, that's your fucking fight. I'm doing something else. And it's like, yeah, that's fucking cool. Solid 8 out of 10 game for me. And I'd easily play through it again. When they fix some of the bugs. Some of they didn't happen as much as people said online, the kind of the bugs that affect gameplay, but I had a couple of times where I was having a really fucking, like, I'm doing a really good kind of sneaking fucking section, you know, for like 20 minutes and just thinking you're just a badass gamer, and then you turn around, it's just a stormtrooper behind you who's obviously seen you, but he doesn't see you because the computer is fucking on the fritz. The AI is just going fucking crazy, but yeah, really good game. Watching, myself and my wife started watching. It's not really a geeky thing. Colin from Accounts. I don't know if you've heard about this. It's
No.
just an Aussie show. It's about an Aussie kind of guy and girl who inadvertently come together because they knock down a dog and have to look after a stray dog. And it's just Aussie comedy. And yeah, it's just really, really fucking funny. And it's like
What's
30
that on?
minutes. It was on the RTE player, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which it's a horrible player to actually try and work with.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Because it plays the ads at the start and the fucking halftime ads. Just like, oh, God. But yeah, that's well worth to watch. Already like 3 episodes in, but it's really, really funny. When Aussies get humor right in their shows, it's fucking brilliant. And then I tried last night to get back into these Expanse again because I'm missing a sci-fi show to watch, and I'm not going anywhere near any fucking Star Wars stuff based on your recommendations or lack thereof.
Yeah.
Right. So tried it, and I think I've told you this before. When I clicked in, it's just like season 2, episode 3, and you're like, okay, right, yeah. And started off, and it just I was like at one point going, where is this character? And then checked on Wikipedia, and it's like, oh, they died like in halfway through season 1. All right. So yeah, I might have to just start it again and get back into it because I fucking love that show, and I started watching it 4 years ago. It's like, come on, man. It's not that hard to watch a show. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I have watched and played this week. So with that out of the way, let's move on to our movie review. Woohoo! Hellboy, the Crooked Man. Take it away, Phil. Good luck.
Cheers, man. Yeah. As Daz said, this week's movie is 2024's Hellboy, the Crooked Man. For those of you who are new, what we do is we split this into 2 parts. We start off by doing like a spoiler-free, tell you what the movie's about and give a spoiler-free kind of section, and then we will move on then to our spoiler section where we basically talk through the whole movie. So we'll kick off, Daz, before I get your opinion on it, I'll just kind of give you, everybody at home, a brief overall of what it is. Actually, just before I do that, though, we're actually seeing this before people in the US. This ended up skipping a theatrical release and has gone straight to streaming on the 8th of October.
Oh, no way.
As far as I know, it cancelled its theatrical release rather than that shows you, I was the only person in my screening for this movie. I
told you, my screening, I went to one, got there for 8:30, and I was like, okay, yeah, 1 ticket to Hellboy, please. All my food and everything. The guy's like, oh, that's not on. I said, but it's on 8:30, and they just said, you didn't give me a reason, but obviously I think you had said no one must have turned up. They put something else on because he said like, yeah, no, we're not showing that anymore.
It's not worth the electricity. It's not worth the electricity and
Exactly.
powering up the bed projector.
Yeah, so to drive fucking 25 minutes somewhere else with all the fucking popcorn drinks. It's like, fuck's sake. Yeah.
But, so stay tuned, guys. It's going to be a good one. Yeah. So the thing about this one is that Mike Mignola is actually credited on this. So he's he's obviously the creator of Hellboy. But he was never wasn't really heavily involved in the previous iterations. But he actually worked on the screenplay for this one and he has a credit for it. Which is mad because he was such a critic of the other movies, and I am a critic of the David Harbour one because it's garbage. But he was a critic of the other ones and the choices that they made, and with his baby, his work. But this is the one he actually had a hand in. It's even worse than the fucking David Harbour one. It's like, oh God, you've no excuses. You can't say, oh, what have they done with my work? No, the ones that they did that you weren't involved in were fucking better.
I'll show you how it's done.
Rather than making an extra 2 attempts at this, you should have just given Guillermo del Toro the money to make the fucking trilogy.
Fuck's sake,
Okay. So so this is I'll just get through it. The Hellboy and a rookie BRPD, which is a Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense, find themselves stranded in 50s rural Appalachia. They soon discover a community of witches led by a local devil who has a connection to Hellboy's past. And so Hellboy himself is played by Jack Kesy. People might know him from, I think we said in an episode before, he was in Deadpool 2, a very small role in that, and he was in The Strain. he's joined that with by his partner, Agent Bobby Joe Song, played by Adeline Rudolph. I know her from the chilling adventures of Sabrina, Daz. I don't know if you know her from anything. That's a
No.
great show. Honestly,
Is
great
it?
show. Chilling, yeah, it's really, really good. Yeah,
No, I
and
didn't know
then
her. I know her face, but yeah, I couldn't place her.
and there's a couple of other characters in it, but the other kind of main guy is Tom Farrell, played by Jefferson White, and he was actually in the movie we did earlier on in the year. Daz, he was in Civil War. He played your one, what's her name, Siona Mizuno, the other team of reporters. You know, the that were also trying to, they were kind of a rival team basically of reporters, and it was just a couple of them. He was the male one. I'm not even sure if he got any fucking lines, but anyway, spoiler free, Daz. Spoiler free. Before we get into it, what did you think? What did you think of the movie?
I thought it was pretty much like the most expensive student film I've ever seen, probably.
You know what the budget is then, yeah?
Like 20 million quid?
Yeah, this cost more than the substance.
It's ridiculous. And I was even thinking of like because budget kept on coming up while watching this movie, because I just read that beforehand. Just kind of like, where's the fucking budget? It's like 3 locations they shoot it, and it's just yeah. I thought it was awful. Yeah, like when I because I didn't know initially when it was set or anything when I came in, because I drove to another fucking cinema, so I didn't know how long I'd missed. But when I arrived in, it was around the start. You know, it was some train crashed and to find some spider or something like. And some of the effects just on that spider, that's not a spoiler, it's the first fucking scene or whatever, are shocking. Like shocking. The spider's not even tracked properly. It's just horrible. But straight away the even like the sound design, like it sounded like it was from one of these audio packs you can buy online, just like creepy music, and they just keep doing that all the time. And the repetition is a thing that plagues this movie in terms of visually. It's miserable. It's like, there are moments in this movie where it's pretty much, it's so devoid of color. They've turned it down, rather than it being black and white and having those rich contrast of black and white film stock. It's just shot on the normal digital, but they've dialed the saturation down to like 10%. And
it's just like
this
green,
is just,
gray.
Yeah, it's just like
and
fucking
like
awful.
I get it. Like if you've read the comics aren't exactly burst them with color. This isn't the Marvel comic, which is fine. And so they wanted to go for this gothic look and stuff. The problem is that's fine in the comic, but if you want to do that on this, you have to change it up. And so I think that, like, say if you look at Sin City, for example, when they adapted that, when they had to do things like with a lot of color, it's really it's properly black and white.
Yeah.
But the colors are super stark. Like you see the guy with the yellow fucking face guy, you know, and so and he really stands out. His big fucking yellow face on him, like everything, and that's why that works. Whereas this, you know, what they could have done if they were going to make it that dreary is at least make Hellboy super red. At least make him really stand out. But even he's completely dulled down. You know, they don't go overboard with the makeup on his face either. So he doesn't so much look as much like a fucking monster kind of thing as he does in the other ones. And
he should stand out as the extreme contrast in the movie, in the color palette, because it's not only just drained of color and desaturated. It takes place like in the woods, like in wooden houses, in a church, like a house, a church, and the fucking woods. And that's it. Just like, where's your budget? Where's this 20 million fucking quid?
Come here, on the church. Did you? And I recognized this straight away, and I was so proud. The church. Did you recognize the preacher?
No. Is he like something? Is he from The Walking Dead or something?
No. I was lied about myself. That is Jeffrey, the butler from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh,
and as soon as I saw him,
great.
I was like, is that Jeffrey?
That's great. No, you're fucking right. Yeah.
I got my IMDb out, and I was like, it fucking is. No way. I was delighted with myself. But yeah, like I'm with you, Daz, man. This is it's so, and because, as you said, it's boring. Like it's just I don't really, doesn't fuck all stakes, you know what I mean? Because it's not, it's all this apparent fucking devil and all this other shit that's happening is all within this kind of cursed woods or whatever. But like, there's nothing the world isn't at stake. There's nothing like that. Whereas in the
like
first one,
six
it is. It's
people,
these.
like six people,
Yeah, and it's
just
like
might die.
no one knows this is going on. No one gives a fuck, you know. And it's just, it's. I get it. They've gone really, really closely to the story, and like most stories with Hellboy, they're not big, bombastic, fucking huge things. They are quite contained and stuff like that. And I get that this, if you were really a massive Hellboy comic fan, you would probably be delighted if they took each story and did a small little thing like this. But the thing is that most people they'll know Hellboy on a very surface level if they know him at all. You have to cater to them as well. This is like a student film by a guy who really, really loves it, you know, and he wants to make it look like the comic. That just not going to work, you know, and there's not enough. There's not enough places, and not enough like sets and areas of this. Everything looks like it's shot within fucking 5 meters of each other because it all looks the fucking same. Like I'm looking at these different houses going, you could have just reused the same house 3 or 4 times. Have they gone to a new place, or did they just walk in a circle and come back here again? Like it just,
and they don't use like in terms of wide shots. It's there might be maybe 3 or 4 wide shots in the whole fucking movie. Everything is just super close up, and they do a lot of kind of post processing on imagery to add fake motion blur and fake depth of field blur and stuff to kind of make something look kind of off kilter and kooky and stuff. But it's like you obviously looked at the shot and it's boring, so you're trying to make up for it by blurring all this shit, and it's just it doesn't work. And it's what is it? Is it 90 minutes? Is it 100 minutes? Is it?
Yeah, it's like 97 minutes including trailers, including credits.
It feels double that.
Yeah, easy.
I couldn't believe it. I was texting you. I was just like, "Will this fucking movie ever end?" It was an hour into it, and just going like, I don't care about anything here. I really don't care. The lack of budget is so evident at every turn.
Oh, but fuck that! Like, I mean, you can say the lack of budget, but it's 20 million quid. Like, Upgrade was made for 5. The fucking Substance was made for 17 and a half. Like, you can make a good movie for 20 million when you're not having to use a massive amount of special effects. Yeah. You know, did they blow it all on the shitty looking spiders? I don't know, but the like effects wise, it looks terrible. And for the camera thing, like I think if you want to consider 20 million to be a small budget, and you don't have a lot of money to do, maybe I don't know what the reason was that it cost so much, because there's no really big stars in it.
But it's still it's a lot of money for what they've done. Maybe not the lack of budget, but the lack of the ineptitude of using the budget.
Well, yeah. Well, this is what I was going to. That's kind of what I'm building to.
Like
is to
Moon.
say, like,
remember Moon? Moon cost 5 million fucking quid, and that looks amazing.
And this is it. If you don't have the money, if you don't have the budget, then you have to be creative. You know, you be creative about the stuff that you. Whereas there's nothing creative here. You see them with, they're trying to make something dynamic looking, and it's Hellboy is talking to Tom, whatever. They're kind of sitting there, and it's like, what can we do to make this a more dynamic shot? And it's basically they just put the camera kind of on the ground, pointing up, so it's like at an angle like this to make it look like it's a more interesting shot.
Quid to do that.
I was like, what the fuck? Like, I mean, that looks like someone went on their break and just left the camera there and go, here, fucking just pissed off, like, and the lad just finished up rehearsing. Like, it's just there's. I'm not sure. As you said, I think a lot of it was them thinking they were being clever with some of these shots, and they just look terrible. You know, like it looks
cheap. Like if someone
really
said
cheap.
This cost $1 million or 50 grand, I'd go, oh yeah. And it makes sense when we first saw this. When I think I said to you, like, oh, so their new Hellboy out at some point.
And I thought it was
a fan film. Yeah, no, that's just a fan film. And then I looked back and I went, oh fuck, you're right. 2 weeks later, like, oh, it's actually coming into cinemas. It just looks like, and I get it, like Hellboy, and as you're saying, comics and the kind of low key stories and stuff, but they're more often than not, it just doesn't work with him in this scene with these like awful dialogue. Some of these characters, I can't take them seriously because it's like they're all stage actors auditioning for a role or something. It's like, oh yeah, you gonna do that? Daddy gonna do you dirty? It's like, what the fuck? It just I was laughing at like lots at the screen when people were talking. I just couldn't take it seriously.
Like it was so difficult. If I didn't have to be the one taking the notes, man, I would have fucking zoned out so much more, because it zoned out
so many times.
Look, we won't go too much more to this, but that's happy enough to be a spoiler-free section. Like, if you want to finish up there, you can, and go and watch it at home, but you're better off just sticking with us and watch us try and
what would you give it?
Crawl our way over the line. But you know, like, I don't know, like probably 1 star, maybe. You know, I don't, and that's being generous. Like, it's 1 star because I like the character of Hellboy. But it's a 1-star movie. There's nothing really redeeming about it. There's a couple of things I'll mention later on that look kind of cool.
There's a couple of lines of dialogue where like maybe 3 or 4 where he says, and it just like, it just works in that moment for about 3 seconds, and then the rest of the scene happens and it falls apart again.
Yeah, and like I did quite like. There's one Irish actor in it. Leah McNamara. She plays the. I was going to call her the hot witch. She's the blonde one, the blonde witch. Essie, I think her name is, or Effie. She's actually pretty decent in it. She's not too bad, and she has some good lines because you really feel like she's an evil son of a bitch. Like, and it's but for the most part, it's a struggle to get through.
Real chore to get through.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So look, we'll move on then to the main section. So brace yourselves. Yeah. So first of all, shortest credits of all time. It's literally just a couple of studios I've never heard of, and then Hellboy Crooked Man just opens up with, like, to be honest,
I didn't see the start.
That's it. It's literally just a couple of quick, fucking production companies you've never heard of, and then it just comes up Hellboy Crooked Man and a picture of set over the woods, and then it's just bam, we're just into it. Like, so that's mercy, really, because
shaves a few minutes off the runtime.
Yeah. But we're in. It's set in 1959, and Hellboy is on this train with Agent Song, and then this other male agent who, I know you said before, this is the worst actor you've ever seen. This dude was fucking shocking. I was like, tell me he's not in it for the whole movie. Thankfully he's only in it very short. He's kind of trying to put a bit of exposition. So what's going on and what's in the box and all this kind of, get a load of this guy and just like, shut the fuck up. Like, you wouldn't be surprised if he was like, he was the cameraman and someone said, look, we need fucking someone for a couple of minutes of exposition. Can we just throw you in here? Oh, it's awful.
I can act.
Right, you'll fit into your man that we had, that costume over there, get in. But they're talking about this spider, this mythical spider, and they have it in this little, they have it in a box within a box on the thing. And it doesn't fully say why the train all of a sudden starts shaking, but it's enough of a shake that the fucking box breaks open and the spider gets out, and it's this big fucking giant spider. It's gross looking, and as you said, the special effects are terrible.
So bad.
And it kills the other agent, and because of all the fucking smashing around and all the rest of it, train carriage gets derailed. And this fucking train, man, this train on this track, like the train in fucking Polar Express 20 years ago looked better than this train. Like, it's so fucking dodgy looking. It's so dodgy looking.
Yeah, that's the bit I walked in, actually. I walked in as the trailer's rolling down. I thought, is this a trailer for something else? Yeah, and the it rolling down the kind of side of the hill is just like, oh no, is that this? And then the spider fucking jumps up, and Hellboy has a fight with the spider, and it's just like. And
the thing, the spider actually didn't look that bad in the inside, because when it was dark, you can get away with a lot more. Inside the carriage, obviously it's dark, and the spider in there didn't look that bad. Okay. But yeah, when it derails and they all go fucking tumbling off down the hill.
It's really bad. Like,
yeah, he basically has a fight with the giant spider, but for some reason the spider is able to shrink itself, so it kind of, as he's fighting with it, eventually it gets really small and it escapes into a sewer, whatever, And
what was the sewer? They said that sewer was the underworld or something. What? I don't know.
It goes down into the mines. So these mines basically connect the whole area, and the area is fucking. I'm not sure why it's evil, but it's evil, and a bunch of people were killed there before and shit. And so these mines go all over the place. And
tree houses in the whole fucking woods.
Yeah, I guess it was probably would have been, mad busy back when there was a fucking rush for whatever they fucking dug out of the mine. I don't know. But anyway, they go wandering along and they find the fucking first cabin of hillbillies. And political correctness, they find the first locals, the cabin of locals.
Yes.
And yeah, so Agent Song is asking, she wants to use the phone so they can call their thing. She's like, no, we don't have a phone. She was actually kind of funny, that first woman she meets. She's like, oh yeah, she's like, yeah, it's in beside the color television and the Mercedes Benz. Like, I haven't got a fucking phone. You're in the middle of nowhere. She was kind of funny, but yeah, while they're there, they find there's a kid lying on the ground in his
What the
pants.
fuck was all that about?
Nobody seemed overly bothered. Like, he's just lying there,
Yeah.
and then you're like, "What's up?" And I'm like, "Oh, he's bewitched."
How long has he been like that?
Yeah, because how long? Because like none of you are even looking at him. You haven't got to throw a blanket over him, or just put him in the corner out of the way. Like, he's lying on the floor, and there's a bunch of like old decrepit looking fucking. I'm gonna say it again, hillbillies sitting around in the thing, and none of them are like, just leave him on the floor. Just no big deal. Like, just a kid in his pants on the ground. No big deal. Like, fucking bizarre. And anyway, they say that she's bewitched, and it's by what do they call it? A witch ball? I don't know. Like, that is fucking disgusting. The witch ball thing is fucking stupid. Like, it, because I can't remember where I think it's the next part. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, just as luck would have it, as they're sitting there, this dude comes by, and this is Tom Farrell, who knows loads about this occult shit. He apparently has been away for a long time. He's been to war. The whole lot. He comes back. He finds out his fucking dad is dead. All this shit. He's either finding out, or his mom is dead. His dad has gone missing. So he's been gone a long time. But he shows up the exact second the Hellboy and thing.
Yeah, that just confused me completely, because I went in, and obviously, when you go into a movie after it started, you're trying to settle and just, what did I miss? My main thing was like, why are they in the 50s? And have they, like, I was trying to get Wikipedia up on my phone, but it's in Dundrum and the cinemas are underground, so no fucking internet. So I'm just like, have they been transported to the 50s? What the fuck is happening here? And then and I was kind of getting a handle on, okay, right, they're in a weird woods. And it's when that fucking Tom guy arrives at the door, I just kind of spaced out, just like, what? And then the dialogue, it just keeps going. Just, who the fuck is this guy? Just like, oh, you don't know your mom's dead. And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ. That's the amount of convenience there.
It's unreal. Like,
it's just very convoluted and confusing kind of scene. I know what they're trying to do, like, oh, lots of things are happening, but it's a bit like, who the fuck is Tom?
Yeah, and really, like, they should have had him or bumped into him at another location. Like, if it just, that would make, even just that small thing would have made more sense. But he just shows up because they have the door left open while they're in there yapping to these people. And he just happens to rock up on the door and like, Tom Farrell, we haven't seen you around these parts since blah, 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 gives a fuck. And you're like, how did he happen by? Anyway, it's obviously,
and they do, and everyone seems to act like, because I was trying to guess the decade when I was there, and it's just like, everyone, it's like they're acting like it's the fucking Wild West in the fucking 1800s or something. Just like, oh yeah, they went east up yonder, man, and just like 1950, like, fucking relax. You just like, the whole location.
Yeah, like, it's like, it's like you said, it's 1959. You know what I mean? So it
just seems very overplayed.
Yeah, and his accent, he's really going for it. Like, with the fucking Southern accent, Tom Farrell. It's to the point where I was like, shit, man, we need to get some subtitles here. Like,
it's like, I don't know anyone with an accent that extreme, but I know people that in America that I've met who kind of talk like that, but this just, it's dialed up to fucking 12. It's like, oh, yeah,
and I suppose
boy,
it's the same with Effie. It's the same with your one. Although that's fair play to her. That she's from Limerick, so I mean, I never understand what people from Limerick are saying either. So, so anyway, he turns up and he's like, oh, well, this is probably the work of whatever this, a witch. I know a witch near here called Cora. And then I think now is when we get our kind of cut to this, a different witch. I thought that isn't the witch that we're going to see, but we get cut to this L one, and she's telling us about what witch balls are.
This is the most preposterous scene ever. It's because she's saying it to a crow comes into the house.
She's like, she's like a crazy ass bitch.
What do they want? Oh, they want to know how to make a witch ball. So she tells the crow, us, in a very, very long monologue to the camera, aka the crow, telling us how she makes witch balls. Just like, who are you talking to?
Yeah,
why?
It's
why is
directly
this
to the audience, like.
And why do we want to know this? Like, just that was just baffling. It's just like, especially when they go, oh, I know a witch, and then you cut to some other fucking witch. It's like, is this Cora? No. unnecessarily shoddy.
I thought that's where we were going to end up because anyway, we see the whole thing she's talking about. It's basically the usual bullshit, fucking Eye of Newt and fucking goat's guts or whatever the fuck it is. Anyway, you bang it all in there, a bit of your hair, and then when you scoop it out, you get scoop from your you say your hair, and she says hair from your nethers as well. So if you wax, you're fucked. You can't make any.
No witch ball for you.
No witch ball for you. So anyway, that we cut in then, and we find they've gone their little stroll, and now they've arrived to the house, which I assumed was this witch's house, and it's not. And when they come in, they find there's always a bunch of gross shit in the house. It's not well kept. And when she gets upstairs, they find that this is basically an empty skin suit, essentially, isn't it? It's just like a fucking rubber suit of fucking skin. And like, oh, she's obviously out doing her business. Like, what you mean? Like, I didn't know what they were talking about. She's obviously not inhabited. She's out doing her, I don't know, familiar or whatever they can do. They can transform into animals, but not fully explained. But while
what was she? She was a badger.
She was a raccoon. Yeah. But while they're waiting for her to come back, Tom starts telling them about the time he met the devil, and it's a witch named Effie Cobb, and she was doing this ritual with bones and stuff, and she's basically, it's not actually the devil. He says the devil, but really it's this guy from the who just seems to be from the area, called the Crooked Man. Like he was some rich fucking
it's Weird Al from down the street.
and now he like works for the devil collecting souls, and he gets a coin for each one or some shit like that. And like there's again, there should be stakes. Like if this is the actual devil, is the world in peril here, or is it just these locals? Because they're in the middle of the fucking woods. No one knows about them or cares about them. You know, just leave them to it. You know, it's just and because it's so self-contained, as I said in the synopsis, he's linked to like Hellboy's past. So how the fuck, like what? How fortunate are you that you ended up derailing your train in the middle of these fucking hills and mountains and come across this one fucking crooked dude that isn't found anywhere else? That's responsible for you almost being born. Like it's kind of again, more.
And that Crooked Man as a villain, like he's got the neck where the neck cracks thing, and that always works because it's a cool kind of visual trick or whatever. The kind of coins he has, but other than that, he's kind of shit. You know, it's just like
he just looks like a zombie Abraham Lincoln. Like I mean, I've seen it done better.
But there's a thing with this movie as well where at least 14 or 15 times the scenes, especially at the start, the scenes end with like a musical kind of doo-doo-doo-doo, and it kind of fades to black and then starts again, and it just happens at the end of almost every scene for the first half an hour, and just like, why are you doing that? Like that's like something to do in a student film where you're just like, oh, we need to do a dramatic cut. Do you need to do it 14 fucking times? Like some silly scenes where they just have this audio like doo-doo-doo, like trying to scare you, or like is this? It's like they look in the audio pack and it's like under tension 05. Oh, we drop that on there. Yeah, fucking it's awful. Yeah,
that's like me and fucking when I was in transition year and I got to use the video editing equipment in school with a star wipe. Every scene, star wipe, star wipe. Like Homer Simpson,
when you
like
see
star
this,
wipe.
guys, when you see
it. People won't be able to get enough of this. It's going to be my trademark.
Yeah. Fucking Hollywood.
But yeah, anyway, this is he kind of does the ritual as well, and then Tom does the ritual as well, and he ends up getting this kind of fucking a magic bone, which is weird.
That was so lame.
It's tiny little bone, yeah, it's a bone.
Whatever bone you're holding when the devil sees you, that becomes your magic bone. It's like, what? And he gets this tiny little shitty little thing, can't even stab anyone with it. It's like a little Swiss Army knife like bone. It's just a tiny thing.
But it keeps him safe apparently, because he's that he says that he tries to get rid of it. He goes to war and it's kept him safe at war and all this kind of shit. But so after he's finished telling this story about this witch and all these baits, it's just a little bit of foreshadowing for us about this dude they call the Crooked Man and the bone that keeps him safe. We get back into the house and now we see the skin suit. And actually this was kind of cool. So
that was the
she's
best scene in the movie.
the empty skin is just sitting on the bed, and this raccoon comes in and dives into the mouth of it, and basically just the thing comes alive. But it's really cracking and breaking,
Something
and
growing
it looks like
inside it.
and it looks like it looks like very painful for the witch who's coming back to life. And
that's the best part. The screams.
Yeah. So that is kind of cool. That's it. And this is this witch named Cora, who Tom used to know from when he was younger. And I suppose I think before they decide to go off on their way, this is when we get the previous witch that we'd mentioned shows up, and this is Effie, the Irish actress, and she shows up on a horse, and she just spouts a load of shite at Tom. She's just basically insulting him and calling him a wanker, and then she mentions, which I thought was bizarre, she's talking, she rides in this white horse, and then she starts kind of flying, like she's levitating, and she starts flying up, and like it's some of the shakiest fucking levitating, like fucking
hold it steady, hold the rope steady.
Yeah, it's like it's
so
definitely not. Yeah, it's definitely not like it's definitely not a whole constructed thing, where she's being held. It's dudes either side with like a rope over a tree kind of fucking thing. Like
it's like something you'd see in a kid's play and just lift up Peter Pan, like just like, why is she flying now? Like, I don't know.
But she says then, this horse is actually your dad. It's like, what? She's like, not much left of my bin. And so she fucking flies off, and then the horse turns into his dad. Like, all right. Like she says
that's
something
where
about
the body came from. Yeah, I went to the toilet and came back, and suddenly they were carrying around the body and just going, I'll just wait for Phil to explain that to me later.
Yeah. The horse that she's been riding around, this white horse, is actually his dad. So anyway, the dad doesn't even get a line, but I think he might get one line. Tom, my son, he dies in his arms. Like should have just left him as a horse, to be honest. You know what I mean? But anyway, he's like, well, look, I want to get him to sacred ground and bury him. And he says, there's a church fucking graveyard up the way. Now this is where we get our cut to our next part. So yeah, we get our little musical interlude here as well, Daz. But this time we also get a cue card.
Oh yeah,
we get a first cue card, and it says the lucky bone, and obviously it's about this fucking dumbass bone. And but like I'm pretty sure there's only 2 cue cards used. Like
I thought I'd missed one at the start. I thought there'd be one to start, middle, and end. Makes sense. But there's this, and then there's one later on.
Yeah, I think this. As far as I'm aware, this is it. Yeah, we just got the first one is this one, and then the one towards the end. When they go off on their trail. So I was kind of like,
why?
Oh, why put them in at all then? Yeah. Like, what's the what? I get if you're reading a comic and you're waiting for the next thing to come out next week, and it comes up, and that's why it's put in. That's why you have the break there. But in this movie, there's no point. There's no massive jump into the future. They're on the road, up to this graveyard with the body. They still
it's 20 minutes later. Like
so I just don't understand the point of the cue card at all. Anyway, they're on the road and they've got his dad's body's all wrapped up, but as they're yapping away, Cora falls behind and they hear this screaming, and when they go to find her, this might be another part where they use the budget. They find her levitating as well.
A snake thing.
But a big, huge snake kind of looks like it comes down looks like it's coming from between her legs, then goes up. And I thought this was weird because it looks like it's going to her mouth. But then they cut away and they cut it back, and it's not in her mouth any longer. It's fucking snapping around the place. It's like, well, which is it? And they don't explain how it's kind of going for her mouth as if she's has to fucking swallow the thing, and then all of a sudden it's out and it's attacking Hellboy. So I don't know why, why it was going,
But I think for
fast mouth.
Like as a visual, it's kind of like, oh, that's fucking kind of creepy, like coming out. Your nether regions are, it's like, even just like, is that coming out of her ass and going back into her mouth? It's just like, this is quite unnerving.
Yeah, this seems unhygienic.
It's just like, Jesus Christ, wash your hands, snake. But like the idea of it is kind of cool, and I guess from a storyboard point of view, someone might that'd be fucking cool. But still, it's still not quite decent to look at. You know what I mean? The visual effects are kind of there, but it's still kind of fuzzy. It still looks like it's not. Yeah, it's not worth fucking 20 million budget stamp on it.
No, and even the part, because it's jumping around and it's biting Hellboy a lot. Like he's getting bites, but obviously he's fucking superhero, whatever, and it's not killing him, whereas it would kill a normal person. Um, but it's biting him a few times, and eventually he ends up killing it. But like when he's killing it, they try to do one of these shots where he squashes it in his giant hand, but he does it right towards the camera as if you're doing it like for a 3D movie. But that just makes it look worse because the effects are already terrible. Don't show him closer.
And they do the thing where he explodes the fucking snake's head, right? The thing, but then they have bits of this snake on the camera lens, like, oh look, as if that's a thing. It's like, we know you put them there. Like, you trying to simulate there's a camera here. Like, what's your fucking point for doing this? It's this kind of student film. Like, this would be fucking cool, but it doesn't make any sense. But let's do it. Just like, there's got to be somebody in the corner at that meeting going, yeah, but that's going to cost $100,000. Like, we don't need to do that. We don't really don't need to do that.
I mean, we shouldn't be too. I mean, I know we didn't mention this at the start. We shouldn't be too surprised. Like, this is the guy who like directed this and wrote the screenplay with Mike Wigla is Brian Taylor. So like, he wrote and directed the Crank movies and the movie Gamer, with Gerard Butler.
Oh yeah.
And he also wrote and directed Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance.
So, I didn't know that one.
Yeah. So I mean, we shouldn't be too surprised at a lot of the choices. Stuff. Yeah, shouldn't be too surprised at how fucking wank this is. Like,
yeah.
But anyway, like he kills the snake, and it bites him a bunch of times. So he collapses and he trips out. And for some reason, it's just him and Cora who get pulled into this kind of dreamscape. Maybe because she's a witch, and they see Hellboy's mother, and this is where he kind of finds because he's mentioned he doesn't know about his past and and if this is this witch called Sarah, and her curse, because she was given loads of power by the devil, was that she had to have this child grow inside her, and Hellboy was her curse. And they show they're kind of showing this devil baby kind of growing inside her, and like the first thing I thought was, that looks adorable. Like, it doesn't look scary at all. It looks cute as fuck.
It's baby horns.
It's a tiny little baby with these tiny little horns. I was like, like it does. I don't know, like, if you're supposed to be scared of this, like Hell Baby or what. Like,
but in that scene, straight away when he kind of goes into the kind of dream sequence or whatever it is, you're thinking, okay, right, here we go, splash some of the budget here, go a bit, like, get out of the fucking stupid, boring woods and go a bit fucking crazy. But it doesn't at all. It's even cheaper. It's just, there's no background whatsoever. It's just black fucking and hyper contrast lighting on him. But then, like, when like, there's that big giant crow. He's just standing there with big giant crow. So I can't remember the dialogue, but it's just like, oh, you were here to. It's just like, why is there a big crow's head in the fucking in this black fucking eternal plate? It's just baffling choice. It's just like, why are you doing this? Like, that should have been a fucking great standout moment, but it's it's like it's shot on just a dark fucking black soundstage somewhere.
Yeah,
it just looks a bit shit. Like,
yeah, it didn't look right at all. But he again. So we like when they wake up though, like they wake up from this fucking dream, and Cora's gone. She's been swallowed up by the ground, right? And Tom runs over and he runs over and he pulls out the magic bone. And I wasn't sure what exactly that was for. I was going to see, did you know? Like, he pulls it out and he says some line and a little bone lights up. I was like, is it to save her soul or something? Or what does he do? Like,
I hadn't a fucking iota what was happening there. When the bone started lighting up, it's just like, how is he doing that? Does he know it? Does he know how he's doing it? Is that his power? And why is he trying to save her? Because at one point you could see her hands were there, and then she kind of disappeared into the ground. And I was absolutely spacing out there. I don't understand this at all.
I thought maybe he was using like magic to save her soul because she was being fucking dragged off or whatever. She was being dragged under the ground. I don't know. Anyway, the ground fucking takes her. He uses magic bone, and they go off and they finally meet the graveyard. And this is where we meet the old blind priest, Jeffrey from Fresh Prince. And like, he actually has a couple of funny lines in it.
Yeah.
He does a couple of zingers. But his church is in fucking bits. I don't know if he lives in the church because it's just this small, it's only one room. He seems to be living there on his own. It's a hike away from everything and anything. So I don't know how this blind dude has been surviving in this one room of this church for how long. That's not really said. It's bizarre. Like, it's like he's you would believe, like, if they said he was like an ethereal being or he was some sort of, then you go, okay, well that's why he's there. He's a ghost and he only appears every so often. But he's an actual dude who just seems to be blind and hanging around up there. How is he eating? How is he looking at for himself? What's going on? But they don't bother telling us any of that. They don't explain. No, they just it don't. He wanders up here in the middle, hikes up here through the woods, fighting off giant snakes and all the rest. And every day, it's just a natural, it's just an everyday thing for him. I don't know why Hellboy made such a big deal out of it. And so they decide that he says, like, we're gonna have to stay the night in the church. And this didn't make any sense either. He's like, you have to stay the night in the church. And Hellboy goes, well, look, it's still light outside. Surely we can just head off now. And then Jeffrey goes, you sure about that? And all of a sudden, the fucking sun starts going down and it's nighttime. And it's because the crooked man can move time. Is that what they're saying? Like, he makes the sun go down because there's a massive bit of, like, overreaction from Agent Song. She's, oh my God, this isn't possible. This is outside the laws of physics. And I was like, you work for the fucking Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense, you lunatic. How is this?
Pretty sure you've seen some crazy shit.
Anyway. So, like, I don't get it. I don't know why the fuck he's able to change time, but he can. So they're all stuck in there overnight. And while they're there, a bunch of witches start showing up outside. Now, none of these pricks can cross because it's like, they mention it multiple times that it's like fucking consecrated ground. Yeah. No one can cross it. So there's protected. So there's a bunch of fucking witches outside, all acting the bollocks. They're all fucking chanting and screaming shit. And then, like, we're trying to get our first thing of Agent Song, she starts chanting like a prayer or something in German because she's so scared. And her glasses start to levitate a bit. And like, oh, so is she a witch? Why is that happening? It's not really fully explained. Like, we're not fully explained why she's able to use powers. Is it said? Did I miss that while she's... No.
Because later on when she's like, I'm going to go into the mine and cast a spell or something, and I was like, what? How?
Yeah, because she doesn't fully believe, she doesn't believe in all of it, despite working for this fucking...
Yeah, and then suddenly she's just like, oh no, I've got an idea, let's cast a spell. This is later on, we'll get to it. But it just, it's one of those where you're kind of going, did I miss a scene? Was something cut out here?
Well, I think, because Cora says something to her when they're hiking up, and she says, like, she's talking about her being able to cast all these things, and she's like, oh, I had to, not only did I have to sell my soul, but you have to really focus on a really difficult time in your life or some shit like that, and that allows you to do it, and you're like, oh, okay. And that's basically the throwaway part that later on she'll have to focus on that. I don't know, it's fucking stupid. It's just you just think, ugh. Anyway.
While all this was going on, like this, you're saying like, oh, there's fucking crazy people outside the church. Like, it's even that's just so cheap. It's just like, you couldn't round up 100 fucking extras. It's just like, oh, we'll just have a shot of 5 of them, and then
we'll keep moving the camera all over the place and making it so you can't quite tell how many are there. Like,
from a different angle, just going, oh my God, like there's no just epic wide of like, oh shit, we're being surrounded or whatever. You see better in fucking like The Walking Dead from 10 years ago. Yeah. It's just like the sense of dread in that. This is just, you cannot get over the lack of urgency or stakes or anything like that, and that's why you're zoning out in this movie, going just like, I don't care. Like, they're in a church and there's 5 people. Oh, the crooked man's approaching with his weird neck. Just like, it's just no one cares. Like,
no, it was,
and it's so lame when he arrives. It's just, he's just outside and he's like, oh, give me the bone or whatever.
Yeah, he's like, he can't get in either. Like, fucking, first of all, the hot witch turns up and she's taunting Tom and no one else can hear her. And he goes outside. So he goes outside, and the next thing, the crooked man shows up looking for this lucky bone. Like, it's just, it's the size of like a chicken drumstick. Like, it's a tiny little thing. It's not like this thing that someone
shit on camera, like,
Yeah, like it's and I wonder, is it even the same one? Because full well that's getting misplaced left, right, and center because it's this scabby looking little fucking chicken bone. Like, it's not even something like you'd see in like I don't know, an Indiana Jones or something, where they at least stick a few gems on it, or make it a fucking, make it a tibia or something more substantial.
Yeah,
It's just
a
his
fucking
little fucking
drumstick. Like,
his
but
tiny little drumstick bone.
did you
Um,
notice? Did you notice when Crooked Man is outside facing off with Tom, and he's has a little fucking bone, and he's about to give it to him, and
yeah,
it's that movie trope. It's the same with like the Dark Knight when the Joker's there with Rachel, and when Batman arrives and he's like, will you get a load of me? It's
yeah.
cool, but
Nobody see
like
him coming.
nobody's see this dude walking out. Same here, where he's just like he's about to take the bone, and then Cameron just kind of tilts up a little bit, and just like Hellboy's there, and he grabs it, and he says something stupid, and just kind of, there's only two of you outside this fucking church tonight. You didn't see
Yeah,
this big
and
fucking red dude come over.
and to be fair to
sneak
Batman,
up
that's
beside
kind
you.
of his thing, coming out of nowhere. Whereas Hellboy's a big gigantic red dude, and there's only one door. So he's come out the same door as Tom. He's directly being faced head on by everybody. Like that, one of the witches would have
crawling down behind him on the ground. Ooh, crawling down. Ooh. He won't see me.
This 7 foot fucking tall red guy didn't stand out at all.
Giant arm.
It's just. Well, yeah, he grabs it. Fucking Crooked Man says, I've obviously got, I've got your mother's soul. I'll release her soul or release her from her pain. If you go in and you kill Tom, and obviously he says no, and the Crooked Man then uses levitation to pull a load of fucking spikes off the fence, and he flings them all through Hellboy, because now he's also telekinetic as well, being able to move time. Again, his powers
Why do
are
you just
unclear.
keep using the telekinesis? You don't need to get people to come out. Just fucking throw all the spikes through the doors. He never uses that again.
No, they get back into the church, and fucking Hellboy is covered in spikes, and so Agent fucking Song is pulling the spikes out of him and all the rest of it, and they're just trying to recover. And then the Crooked Man and his witch pals are outside, and they all start chanting some shit. And because they realize, okay, yeah, it might be consecrated ground, but a bunch of sinners were buried, people who'd killed killed babies. So they all start coming up from the fucking dead, Evil Dead style, and coming back to life, including Tom's dad. And Hellboy takes a bunch of them down. And some of these kills are kind of cool because they're funny, because he has a big, giant, oversized gun. And so him taking down these fucking... these guys have come back from the dead. And they even say before they come up, the flesh may be gone, but the spirits are still there, or their sins are still there. Well, these fucking things come up, and they've still got fucking flesh on them. They're fully formed humans. Like, you one of them looked overweight. Like, they're just... big fucking, they're full on people. Like, you've just gone against what you literally just said 2 seconds ago, and so Hellboy has to re-kill them, I guess.
Yeah, but he has a fucking zinger of a line, Hellboy, when he's talking to the Crooked Man. He's just like, it's one of those moments where it just works, the humor and the scene, everything just kind of gels together, and you get a hint of the Guillermo del Toro masterpieces. When he goes, he just like, take your crooked ass out of here and take those fucking dizzy bitches with you. Just like, it's a good one. It's fucking great.
When he goes, this is mental. So this is like from this is what you'd see in the David Harbour fucking one. So the Reverend and Tom both use the magic bone. And both their powers of magic to anoint a shovel by drawing a cross on it. And so this is now a holy magic shovel. And so, Hellboy's using it to kill the dead, smacking them around the place.
Why not?
But this is the one weapon that seems to be taking him down, because he goes out to the Crooked Man, whacks him with it. He goes fucking flying, and all of a sudden, it's daytime again. Knocking the Crooked Man out changes the daytime, changes the face back to daytime, and he's gone. But he's weakened, and so they say, we'll have to go and finish him off.
Let's finish it,
Yeah, let's finish it, kind of thing. And then we get our second cue card, which is just says the Hurricane. I think the Hurricane is like the area, is it?
I have no idea.
The name of I think that's the name of the area, the woods, all that kind of shit is called the Hurricane.
Anyway. Why put a title card up for that?
I don't know why we need to tell, because they're just going off looking for them. They say to, Agent Song and the fucking... what's it called? The priest, you stay behind, we'll go and do the business. They don't need to have a title card. You could just cut to them on their walk, Yeah. But they're gone off looking for them, and then while that's happening, Agent Song is back out, and she's doing all her how she manages to come up with this straight away. She's like, hang on a second. You talked about there's these tunnels under here. These work like a circulatory system because the whole mountain range is alive. And this is a circulatory system.
Drawing his power from these are the veins, the minds of the
veins. These are the veins.
Going, where the fuck did you get that from?
Yeah, so she's like, oh, so I'll come up to some plans. You didn't even believe in fucking witches 5 minutes ago. And now it's...
And then doesn't the guy say, he's like, but he says, what are you going to do? Are you going to blow up the mine? She says, no, something better. What about a spell? He's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? You could cast spells now? Like, oh God! It's just like, wow. Just yeah.
So anyway, she's coming up for a plan to make this fucking spell, and while that's happening, Hellboy and Tom reach the house where the Crooked Man hangs out, and it's just fucking grim as fuck. You know, the whole fucking tables are covered in dust and cobwebs, and it's just a rundown old house. And they'd mentioned that I think that he was some kind of fancy dandy dude when he was fucking before he got taken over by the devil. And so I assume this must have been where he lived. I don't fucking know. But anyway, they when we get back to Agent Song and the priest, they're going up to they go down under the church because it turns out there's tunnels. There's a trap door that leads down into the tunnels. And she's like, oh, well, this obviously is built here on top of this land where all these miners had died. And this is like the gateway. This is basically what shores up the gateway between the two worlds, the underworld, the horrible hell world. I think this is what this church is here for. And so I'll use this trapdoor to get down there. So I was like, okay, then we're probably going to see some horrible, crazy shit down in this thing. It's basically a normal looking mine. Like it's a normal looking, regular old mine. And I don't know, it was kind of shit. Like the only good part of it was like the good part was the blind guy swinging the fucking magic shovel around, trying to kill all these crows. But they end up showing up and they fucking bite him to bits. They fucking pull out his eyes. They go down his fucking mouth. It's awesome looking. Like that's cool.
Yeah, there's that scene is I noticed this. It's intercut with like them fighting the like 10 crows flying at them before they pluck his eyes out and stuff. It's like basically an action scene. I say action in fucking inverted commas. That it's them swinging a shovel at a few crows, and then it's intercut with Hellboy in the house having an action scene where he's just fighting wind coming through a window. It's just like he's just moving around going, oh, it's very windy here. It's like, wow, $20 million fucking dollars. Yeah. Happy days.
They're in sync almost. The two battles are kind of happening as if the things are happening to him. And anyway,
it's just so cheap.
Yeah,
so bad.
Yeah, because Hellboy and Tom have gotten separated in the house now because I think Tom falls through the floor or some shit. And all of a sudden, Hellboy then gets whisked off to the place where his mother is being held, that fucking floating mother thing. And while that's happening, Tom gets attacked by the hot witch again. And he uses his magic bone to shoot her out a window. I don't know why he knows it's going to work, but he says it and she goes fucking flying out a window. I don't know why. He's. I think it's basically it's all them all starting to believe in themselves. You know, that's kind of what it is. He believes he can use the magic bone for good. She believes that spells will now work and the magic will flow through her.
Like that's one of Hellboy's lines to Tom. After he's just like that. I think the power was not.
Oh yeah, like
in the bone. The power
the god
was
of
in
hammers.
You.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
I literally in the cinema went, oh fuck off. Just absolutely get lost. Like that's nonsense.
I'm gonna try and power through this because we're towards the end now. So anyway, she comes again and she comes across the giant spider as well, which I was hoping we were kind of done with that cunt. But she
love a spider.
Yeah. So she summons her like magical painful memory, I think, of like her granddad dying when she was younger, and she's able to use it to kill the spider. Not quite kill it, but shrink it down so she can fit it into a jar and stick it in her bag. It also frees Hellboy from the spell that he's in, and he wakes up and regroups with Tom, and they find a Crooked Man. They get into a fight, and this I thought was actually kind of cool. So Hellboy is getting flung around. And the wire work here, when he's in kind of the hallway tunnel, getting flung around is one part where he stops.
Kind of cool.
Almost in midair and gets spun around. And that did look really cool. I thought that was actually a pretty cool shot because it's contrasted by the the windows behind him, and it's almost the shadow of Hellboy getting,
Yeah.
or a silhouette, sorry, of him getting turned around. That was kind of cool. Hellboy then is pinned down, and Crooked Man is spitting a load of like flies into him,
Yeah, that was
like trying to
disgusting.
choke him to death. It was gross. And but while he's doing that, Tom shows up and he pulls one of those gross witch balls of hair out of his bag that he's been saving, and he throws it, man. The best shot of all time. He throws it, and
It's
it goes
amazing.
straight into your man's mouth. Like he just turns his head for a second. He fucking rips it, wah, wah, and it's just fucking hairball right into your man's mouth, and he just starts chokes and he's spouting a load of shite, and then Hellboy gets up, takes his gun out, blows his head off, and it turns into a bunch of coins.
That was cool as well. A good head blown off scene.
Yeah, and that was basically him. And then that was the. I literally have the line that you mentioned. I literally have what my notes say is the power was in you all along. Lame.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then they stumble across the hot witch. She's not looking so great. She's fucking like an old hag now. I think now that the other guy is dead and she's probably lost her power. So she's all a bit shriveled up and all the rest of it. And so I'm not really sure how exactly he does it, but they turn her into a horse. The way she turned his dad into a horse. Tom reaches into it
at this point.
Yeah, like Tom reaches into his bag and he pulls out the bridle that had been on his dad, and he pulls it out and goes, I knew I hung onto this for a reason. And so
how did you turn her into a horse? Like,
because they don't say, because it's not like Agent Song used a spell, because they go down and they meet her. So they don't really say how Tom was it. Did he use the magic bone again? Got this bone is just multi-purpose magic bone. Anyway, he's a witch as well, I guess now, and so he turns your one into a horse, and they make it back down and find Agent Song. They move off down the road and they find a phone and they call for an evac, and they get taken off in a helicopter. And the final shot we get is it cuts back to your one as a horse, and written in like red paint or blood or something on her, it says, "Beware, I'm a witch." And that's it. We're done. The fucking credits roll, and mercifully it was finished. Like it's just shite. It's just pure shite. I can't imagine anybody who's listening to the whole way through to the spoiler section, if you were thinking, no, God, this sounds quite good. I don't know what they're getting wrong. This sounds pretty cool. I doubt that. I highly doubt anybody, because it is fucking shit. Like it's I'm getting upset now that we had to talk through it. Like it's just it's a bad movie. Yeah.
Tough watch of like it's top 5 worst of the year for me.
Yeah. It's there. It's there with that. They're different types of bad, this and Borderlands. But in their own way, both of them fucking like this will have only lost. This won't make any money, so they'll have lost 20 million. Whereas I think Borderlands will have lost significantly more than 20 million. It's a hard watch, and I feel bad for Mike Mignola as well, because I guess maybe he finally thought he was going to get something that would really resonate with diehard fans of his thing, but maybe he just put it into the wrong hands. Like, I mean, maybe look at what this guy has done before as well.
So, because it's like maybe at some point the script or in meetings beforehand or storyboard, someone went, "Oh, this cool story about fucking Hellboy and witches and Crooked Man," and I struggle to even think about the ideas being good at some point where someone would go, "Yeah, I'm going to give you $20 million," or what they promised, because it's just but it's things that are very controllable, just visually. It just should be more striking. Like, why is it all set in the woods? Why is there 3 locations, and why is the main color the 15% saturated color fucking brown and kind of green? It's just like, and Hellboy not like in the woods. Yeah, it's far too brownish. If it was more lush and green, or even creepy green, then Hellboy would stand out. It just makes no sense that visually it's like mundane. It's just boring, just uninspiring. And from an audio point of view, I just thought it's just so much copy and paste audio effects in this. I couldn't
Yeah.
get over that. Just like I've heard that audio sample like somewhere. Why do you keep using it? And there's no the score is like fucking over the place. They bring in song at the end, just like I know what you're trying to do, be kooky, 50s, whatever. It's just like, but this whole thing of Hellboy in the 50s should be more interesting than what this is. This is just
Yeah.
Hellboy in the woods. it's just not,
And like again, as I said, like these comics will have been quite self-contained, and I'm sure as a smaller story in a comic, this probably does look great. But you have to make especially with something like this, you need to make adjustments if you're putting it on the screen.
Yeah.
And I don't know what, like you said, I don't know what their agreement was, how close they're supposed to stick to it. But the guy you've hired for it, like I said, he's directed absolute garbage. Why did you think that this was
going to be any different?
Yeah, why do you think this was going to go well? I mean, okay, the first Crank movie is actually decent, but it's
entertaining.
But because it's entertaining, because Jason Statham's entertaining and Amy Smart is hot.
I mean, and it's pure madness. Like it's a mad concept, and it's like
it's a ridiculous concept. Yeah, and so check out Crank if you want. It's a much better movie than this. But like, The Gamer is a terrible movie. The Spirit of Vengeance is terrible. I was very
TV
surprised.
Movies. Like,
very surprised to find that he had directed a couple of episodes of one of my favorite shows, Happy. Couldn't believe he directed a couple of episodes of that. But most of his stuff is straight garbage. So it was surprising to this is the one you decided to stick your name on and get involved in the screenplay. I don't know. It's I feel bad for him, because he didn't enjoy the first couple that came out. He wasn't a fan of his work being adapted that way, and now he finally gets his job, and it's an absolute flop, and it's crap. It's like kind of like he's 3 for 3 now, where he's not, where he's going to be unhappy.
No one's making another Hellboy movie. Like that's TV show, HBO, got to do it.
The fact that it's got 20 million is so soon after the last one was made is nuts, because that's only a few years since the last one came out. Like for so soon after to another movie to be made and for them to get a budget of 20 million is wild. So it must have been, I don't know, I would love to be really interested to know where the financing came from, because it's right, these are really small studios that pop up at the start, the production companies and stuff. There's only a couple of them. It's not like there's 8 or 9 of them where you can kind of go, okay, you can tell it took a bunch of different people to get the funding for this movie. There's only like 2 things mentioned at the start, so I'd be really interested to know where this 20 million came from to finance the movie. I don't know. It's a bit of an enigma. I don't recommend this one, even for a Hellboy fan. I wouldn't recommend watching this at all, even when it comes on streaming. It's not like a 90-minute breeze that you'll enjoy. One of those 90-minute movies, you can go on to Netflix and pick 90 minutes. It really feels much longer than that. It's not worth watching. It'll just put you in a bad mood because it's so grey and green. Grim. Anyway, that's grim.
Super duper. Thanks for that. That was better man than me. That was a tough watch. Hellboy the Crooked Man. Do not watch it. It's fucking awful. And luckily next week we're going to have one of the movies of the year, apparently, Megalopolis. And I have the chore. Some of the reviews are quite entertaining on that one. That is an end of this week's episode. Thanks everyone, as always, for subscribing and liking and sharing and playing and listening and everything in between. And thanks a million, and we will catch you next week. Ciao.